If I didn't get elected, we wouldn't have a country. We really wouldn't have a country. This country would be finished.
It's President Donald Trump delivering a line that he's said time and again about the future of democracy if he wasn't elected for a second consecutive term. Welcome back to the States. About half of Americans are confident about the future of democracy in the United States, but 250 years in, nearly two-thirds say the country is not living up to its founding principles. It's according to recent polling. Welcome back. The Center Square Voters Voice poll surveyed more than 2,500 registered voters, asking them how confident they were about democracy's future and how well America's founding principles were being practiced today. The Center Square reporter Morgan Sweeney joins us to discuss the poll's findings. Morgan, what was the response to the question that was provided here? Thinking about the years ahead, how confident are you in the future of democracy in the United States?
Mm-hmm. So like you said, about half of Americans answered that they were confident in the future of democracy here in the U.S. But I mean, close to half, but 47%, which isn't extremely high. And then the other 44% responded with that they weren't confident. And a few answered that they weren't sure.
And you can see they're kind of broken out, 47% confident, but even that, only 16% were very confident, 31% somewhat confident. But that other side of the spectrum there, 44% not being confident. Interesting to see that, about 15% said they had zero confidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most fell in the middle there, either at somewhat confident at 31% or not too confident at 29%. So it's pretty closely divided there.
What's great about the Voters Voice poll that Noble Predictive Insights puts together for the Center Square is they have a large sample, 2,000 plus, right? And they also do some demographic work with some of this. Break out some of those various demographics on this particular question. What does it look like?
Mm-hmm. So what I thought was interesting about this particular poll is that I feel like when I'm looking at the results, to write on something, there's usually more stark differences within demographic groups like race or, education level or income level. But there were really only 3 demographic groups that stood out to me in this poll. And that was Trump and Harris supporters, people who voted for them in the last presidential election, Republicans and Democrats, and men and women. So far and away, the group that was most confident in the future of American democracy was Trump supporters at 63%, followed closely by Republicans. But that was much, much higher than, anything else, any other demographic group that responded to the poll. And then another group that stood out was men and women, because there was quite a difference there too, in how those two groups responded. So 56% of men responded that they were confident, while only 40% of women were confident.
We almost need a psychologist or something to explain that one to us, the disparity between men and women. But talk a little bit more about that disparity between Trump supporters and Harris supporters. We heard the president at the top there say, if he wasn't elected for a second non-consecutive term, then we wouldn't have a country, he says. Yes. It seems to be that the other side is worried that we're not going to have a country since their candidate didn't get elected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we saw almost the opposite with Harris supporters. While 63% of Trump supporters answered that they were confident, 56% of Harris supporters indicated that they had very little confidence in the future of democracy. And that was followed by Democrats as a whole. 53% of them had very low confidence. So, yeah, it was interesting to see.
And then you also have the other question about, the founding principles and whether they were being well practiced today. Trump supporters saying 47%, finding that, yeah, indeed, that things are going well when it comes to the founding principles. That didn't seem to be the case with Harris voters concerning founding principles.
No, I believe it was 78% of Harris supporters said that they did not think that the country was living out its founding principles. So it's sad to see that. feel that
especially
way.
heading into a midterm where this type of polling data is going to be crucial as we get updates closer to November. But clearly an interesting story to tell here, and people can find more about these poll numbers at thecentersquare.com. Morgan Sweeney for the Center Square, greatly appreciate you taking the time here for the States.